All right, here we go, guys. I am going to get you prepared for the rate cut that looks very likely to happen tomorrow. It's almost certain, it's almost guaranteed. Looks like it's going to be 25 basis points. I mean, the market would be really surprised by a 50 basis point cut, but I would expect 25 until further notice. So as we get started here, hit the likes, hit subscribe if you enjoy this content. For those of you that are new here, we go over smart money. We go over, a lot of different things. Today, I'm going to show you Bitcoin, the rate cuts, the eclipses that happen around those rate cuts, or even the ones that happen after. And we're going to see how price action mimics the two times that it's happened before and what we expect going, forward here tomorrow and really into the end of the month. But also I'm going to jump into, we always look at smart money and what tokens we can accumulate. And I think that's going to be a very important part of this for you that you're really going to enjoy is we're going to look at different things like, what tokens have taken off already, the ones that are likely to continue to run. And we'll look at some AI tokens. We'll look at some robotics. We're going to take a look at the narrative. So there's a lot of different things we're going to look at, but we're going to have to go quick through most of this. So just keep up with me here and, pause or reverse back if there's something that you didn't quite catch on the first time. And, of course, I'll timestamp everything going forward here on the video. So jump ahead if there's something, you're not really interested in, you want to jump ahead and look at AI tokens or something like that. If you're more interested in, what to accumulate, what looks good, we'll go into that here later in the video. So let's start with Bitcoin because the most important thing right now, of course, is, hey, when are we going to pump? That's what we're all looking for, right? And currently, Bitcoin is doing a pretty good job of holding its gains. It pushed all the way up here to like 121K, 122, and it is creating a lower high right now. So we do have to be, a little bit concerned about that it could dip. But I want to float two scenarios out there for you. And I'm going to back them up with this, these things that I have marked here as well. So generally around a rate cut, you're going to get a lot of volatility. You'll end up with a pump and then a dump, or a dump and then a pump and then a dump. A lot of different ways it can happen. We don't know exactly what's going to happen just yet. But because people are expecting a 25 basis cut, if it does happen in that way, then the market likes that. And you're likely to see a pump the day of the rate cut tomorrow. And it could even happen today. There could be some kind of pump. But I can't guarantee that any of these scenarios are going to be, they're going to play out exactly like that. I mean, we could, I'm just kind of putting some ideas out there for you to think about. We could have some kind of dip, a couple of days after the rate cut. Maybe the price just stays pretty much flat through the rate cut. And then 2 days later, either there's a dip or there's a pump. And then later in the month, there might be a dip after a pump or something like that. But I'm hoping that October gives us much more clarity. It's going to be difficult, and I definitely don't ever recommend trading during a rate cut because you just never know what the volatility is going to do. But I can tell you this. We do have an eclipse ending somewhere over here. Actually, this is the weekly chart, so it's kind of jumping ahead farther than I wanted it to. But anyway, there's an eclipse that's ending, an eclipse season for, the people that follow Astro out there. And when an eclipse like this ends with a rate cut, generally you're going to have a pump out of that at some point, close to that moment in time. So what we'll do is we'll go back here and look. This is the last time that a rate cut and an eclipse happened, very close to one another. So there was actually two eclipses somewhere in this March time frame right here, and it ended up creating a pump, and that's really when the market started taking off in 2021, or 2020 and 2021. So you had your first rate cut with an eclipse, or the most recent one was way back here in March 2020. So there was a rate cut, and then there was two eclipses kind of back to back right here. And during eclipse season, you can have some flat or downtrend. But then once that second eclipse happens, then you're going to pump out of it usually. So, the rate cut actually here, it caused a pretty big dip. Of course, we know that this was an outlier. You're usually not going to see something like this, but I want you to be aware of that because it could happen again. And then here we are. The last time a rate cut happened, or a series of rate cuts, was here at the end of 2024. I believe there was one starting in September. What what was it, November and December as well. I believe there were some rate cuts up here. So yeah, actually I can just pull this over here like that. So what happened was we had a rate cut, and then we had 2 more rate cuts here. So the first rate cut created a pump. The next rate cuts, there were 2 back to back right at the end of the year in 2024, and it created a a rollover in the market. And then these eclipse happened, eclipse season happened right here as far as astrology goes. And as soon as these 2 eclipses right here were done, then price pumped again. So just understand that, there could be, what was the March, April, May, June. So there was a 3-month gap right there. And there was a, let's see, September. It was a little bit more than a 3 gap here, 3-month gap. So, the trend is up for sure. We're still seeing that the trend is up. That's really all that matters. As long as, I don't know where we want to put this line exactly. We can use that lower wick there and this candle body there if we want. But, as long as this trend remains up and the trend line continues up like this, we're fine. But if we start to see candle bodies start to close below this, then we have to be concerned and think, okay, well, maybe the market has put that final top in. And we'll see. I mean, we still haven't had, for Bitcoin, we have had a fairly parabolic move, for Bitcoin itself, though it really hasn't done anything like this like it did in 2021 or in 2017. And I get it, as things go on, things are going to get less volatile. But, still you would expect some kind of blow off top, and we really haven't seen that yet. So many people like myself still believe that we have further to go. And then if we bring up total 2, so there's just a clean chart of total 2. And we're right there, at the brink of a breakout for this one. And generally, a lot of people would say, oh, well, this looks like a rising wedge. This looks like, a bear flag or something. But this is actually sometimes a bullish move. Sometimes you'll get a pump out of something like this. So as soon as total 2 breaks out of here, I think that's when Bitcoin will make another really strong move. And I was just going to look at Bitcoin chart and show you one of those patterns. Probably have to go to the daily. I'm not really seeing one here, but oh, there it is right there. So see this one right here. A lot of people probably thought this right here was like a bear flag or something as well. So same idea. Anyway, I hope that gives you some clarity on the way I'm thinking anyway. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not too concerned about it. Things are looking good. Here's the others chart. This is pretty much all the altcoins. You're excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum here. And we've got a buy signal on the 3-day chart, which is even stronger. And then we're up in the greed area here. So that means that things are pretty bullish currently. Now, if this was to roll over, then that means we got some kind of dip. And, maybe we double bottom here or something on the others chart. But things are looking real good right now. Personally, I have some money on the side. I'm still mostly invested in altcoins. But if I see a significant dip, I'm going to be a buyer in that unless there was something that just completely broke the market. But I don't expect that to happen. Bitcoin dominance, we are at 50 RSI right here. It's having a little bit of a bounce. That's why alts aren't really skyrocketing just yet. But, once Bitcoin dominance breaks below that 50 RSI, then things really start moving. Of course, this is the monthly chart. Actually, on the weekly chart, it is below there. So, it's just having a little bounce here, and it'll keep losing, losing ground against things like Ethereum here. And that's what we want to see. As long as Ethereum pumps, all the alts are going to pump as well. So let's get into what we were going to talk about. Let me go over here to Nansen. And, I'm just going to really briefly mention this, and then we're going to get into, some of the other stuff we're going to talk about with CoinMarketCap there and, AI tokens, that sort of thing. Maybe find some tokens that haven't moved yet. That's what we want to find for you. GIZA, this one keeps being popping up on my timeline as far as Nansen goes. I mean, there's a lot of good tokens here we could look at, right? Like, Link, ENA, Arrow, Morpho, OpenX have been showing up a lot. Bio, we were very early on. People made profit off of that. Because I did post it on X as well as my Discord, which, by the way, I mention it every time just so you're aware of it. Below on this video in the description, you're going to find discounts to everything that I talk about. I'll only put them there because I want you to be able to use the same tools I do at a discount, or you can join our Discord either way. I also present these things in Discord. So there's also a 7-day free trial of the charts that I show that have buy sell signals. So if you're interested in any of that, just look at the description below. It's there for you. But yeah, talking about GIZA here, I think this might be one you want to look into just because it keeps showing up, over and over on Nansen. It's on base. I don't know that it's necessarily ready to move just yet. It's a 6-month-old token. I'm just waiting on it to load up here. And we're going to see what the numbers show us over the last 7 days. Takes it a little while to load sometimes, but we do see some accumulation here by, a smart trader, a token billionaire, actually 2 token billionaires there. Okay, there it goes. It's starting to load up here. So market cap is 33 million. We're just waiting on some of this flow intelligence to load up here. And while we're waiting, well, there it goes. Okay, it's starting to load up now. And you can also look at things like holders, stuff like that. But this is kind of like your quick view. Chart looks pretty good. It did a head and shoulders looking thing, and then it pumped out of that. So I think it could hold support here around 22 cents. You want it to at least hold around 18, 19 cents. You don't want to see it fall below there, or it's coming all the way back down to 14 and maybe even lower. But currently we have fresh wallets are buying. See, some of it is going on to the exchange, which means, some people are selling or getting ready to sell, but you have a lot of smart money purchase right now. You want to see smart money purchasing. That's very important, especially on a dip. You want to see some conviction. And let's just look at the smart money tab here. So over the last 7 days, smart money has increased their position 81%. As price drops, smart money's buying. We want to see that. This yellow line is token balance that's leaving the exchange, so it's going on to smart money wallets. And then the gray line is price. So, as price coming down, if they're accumulating, that's a good sign for you. And mostly it's this 90-day smart trader right here that is profitable. They've made 129K over the last 90 days. Their win rate's not great, but their net worth is 877K. So GIZA might be one that you want to look at on base. All right. So a lot of people are hating on the altcoin season chart. I just want everybody to understand what the altcoin season chart actually is, because it is important. And for anybody that's on X that is hating on it, they're misguided, because this is something we want to see to know that we're getting strength from the altcoins, right? So here you have Bitcoin way down here. It's up 10%, and I think this is over the last 90 days. But look at all these tokens above Bitcoin. So when this happens, when you've got a bunch of altcoins that have strength against Bitcoin, which we know ETH was one of the first ones to show it, so was XRP. There's XRP right there. But what the way you can utilize this chart is, okay, I've got things like Arbitrum, WorldCoin, what is this one? PITH. I can't remember the full name of it, but PITH was one we identified early, and people made some money on that one as well. BNB has pumped lately. XRP was one of the first ones, of course. Ondo is one to keep an eye on. Floki is one to keep an eye on. Pendle. There's just so many here. Near. There's so many different tokens here that you could look at. BGB was an early one we were on. So the way that you use this is you say, okay, if these things are stronger than Bitcoin right now, then they're probably going to keep running. You don't want to mess with the ones up here, in my opinion anyway, that like Mix, it's up 175x. You want to be buying things that are a good value. You don't want to be buying the very top of these tokens when people are already taking profits. And even these that are 2-3x up, they could still move, of course. Like Pingu, it's one of the best tokens this cycle as far as hype. But I do want to make a note about hype. Euphoria can happen at any time. Don't get caught up in the sentiment on X, on Twitter. Don't let people make you a bag holder, make you round trip. If you see that euphoria, then you should start questioning immediately. Has my token gone up so much that people are starting to take profits? And Nansen gives you that opportunity. Like if we bring up Mix, Nansen gives you that opportunity to see who is selling, who is buying. Maybe it's your opportunity to take some profits when other people don't really see that it's a good time to take profits. So we had a huge move. This thing went from basically, cents or zero all the way up to $18. And, that's a great move. I'm glad for anybody that caught that. But if you look here over the last 30 days, and we just look to see what smart money's doing, which I think they're completely out at this point. Look, as price was coming up, smart money was starting to take profits, and that's why they're smart money. They don't round trip. And here you've got whales. I'm surprised there's some whales that are accumulating this. I wouldn't necessarily be accumulating myself, but they were buying way back here before price pumped. And some of them were taking profits right there, but it looks like most of them are still holding. Some token millionaires, top 100 on the leaderboard, that sort of thing. So they made a lot of money here. But in my opinion, because we're looking at it right here, the exchanges are seeing tokens being deposited, meaning that there are people still selling. I think these whales may want to consider that it might be time to, take some profits here. Last 24 hours, you're probably going to see a lot of profit taking, but smart money is completely out here. Just see what the public figures are doing here. Public figures are completely out as well. So you're not getting that institutional level of buying, like 10,000 clips at a time, where people were buying this token. Now things are slowing down, and it kind of shows in the chart, right, where the chart's starting to dip. So just keep things like that in mind, and maybe look at some of these tokens. So what we can do, and I can bring up any of these on Nansen for you. Maybe there are some of these you want me to look at. Post it in the comments below. I'll try to look at it. I could do a second video this week if you want me to look more closely at them. But if I'm just going to give you some ideas here, I think Ondo really hasn't moved much. And I will look at it here in just a second. What's another one I was thinking? Arbitrum has been showing up a lot lately on my feed. Link, we were very early on. SEI is one to consider, even though it's up 89%. So let's just look at, I'm trying to see if there's any other ones here that I wanted to tell you about. Sand is another good one that I think could move. What else? Cake, maybe? I haven't really looked at Cake just yet. But you could also look at tokens that are down here that haven't moved yet. Some of these may have already pumped, but like virtual, maybe it needs a little bit more distribution first before it's ready to go. But these are going to recover. World Liberty Fi is one to consider. In fact, let's just take a look at some of these. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull them up on my other screen here, and then that way I can pull them over one at a time. What was the other ones I was going to look at? Yeah, I guess we'll look at Cake real quick. It was Cake. I mean, any of these you could look at for sure, but Cake, Sand. I think INJ I've talked about recently, yeah. There's just so many to look at here. I really wanted to get into the AI stuff for you as well. So maybe I'll come back to this because it's taken Nansen just a minute to load up here. What do I have over here? Okay, so we'll bring up Cake here, since it's one of the lower ones that hasn't really moved much. And then I've got World Liberty Fi there. Oops, I didn't mean to close that one. Okay. All right, we'll bring some more of these up here in just a second. Oh, there's Mix right there. Let me put something in that place. Oh yeah, we were going to look at Sand, weren't we? Okay. I'll search Sand here. All right, so we'll just keep those for now. Let's look into some AI ones as well. So TAO, of course, I mean, we all know that TAO is going to be one of the most powerful AI tokens this cycle. And it really hasn't made its secondary move just yet. It had a really strong move to begin with, and then it just didn't do much after that. It's been consolidating for a while. So again, here on on my other screen, I'm bringing up these other tokens for you. Near is another good one. I'm going to bring up Near. Render, of course, is a good one. Injective. I mean, all these are going to be ones to look at, like Theta, Virtual. Aether has already made its first move. I just want to put these on here or talk about these a little bit. I can't look at every single one of them, but I want to talk about these just briefly, so that you are aware of them and consider them, you know, if you're looking to accumulate a certain token. And there is some time to accumulate still this month, I believe, but you know, it's not a good idea to wait much longer. Okay, I'm just having to bring a bunch of screens up over here because it's taken a while to pull these all up for you, but we'll get into them here in just a second. Okay, let me check one thing. Okay, we're good. Oh, Zig coin is one that I brought up that I want to bring on the chart here for you. So let's just keep going through these. I'm not going to bring them all up. Cubic's another good one, I believe. What else? Arkham has been showing up. Zig. Yeah, Arkham I posted earlier for you as well, and it's already up some. AIXBT has been showing up in my Nansen alerts. Destra Network, we found this one before anybody knew about it. I think it was last year, and we got a 40x out of this one. Only way I found these was through Nansen. I'm telling you, you know, if you want Nansen, if you want 10% off, click on the description below down there, and you'll find the link for it. Flock, a lot of people love this one, and I'm going to bring that one up for you because I believe since this one's pretty far down the list, it could end up being one that can move quite a bit still. But it was correcting, and I let people know that it was going to correct before it happened. SAPIEN, that's another brand new launch. I'm just bringing it up over here on the screen for you so I can bring it over. We're going to look at all these one at a time. Okay. So let's switch over. There's Art Block. Let's switch over to something like, what do we want to look at? Categories. So that's AI. We also want to look at real world assets. What's trending? Oh, okay, that's just trending all in general, I believe. Yeah, Avantis, we were extremely early on. In fact, some of you on Twitter told me you made a 10x on this one, which I'm very happy about. You know, it takes conviction, right? Just because I say something on X doesn't mean everything's going to go up. You know, these people had the conviction to actually enter it and exit at a good time. So, you know, really impressive. So let's look at RWA. We can briefly look at gaming, but I also want to look at robotics. I think surely they have robotics. Let's just see if it shows up here for us. Because robotics has been a really like a trending type of a category. Clanker ecosystem. That's kind of robotics, isn't it? Well, is this going to show up for us anywhere? There it is right there. Okay, so robotics, this category is way down here at, you know, the top 100. You know, well, just past the top 100 of all the categories on CoinMarketCap. So you know that there's a lot of room for this one to move if it catches fire. So let's just see. XRT is one that's been around for a long time. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about the robotic side of things. There's better people. PEAQ's been around for a while. IOTX has been around. Helium, JASMY, TAO is also, you know, it's robotics plus AI, which is just goes to show that it's probably going to have a much bigger move still. So yeah, we're already looking at TAO. We can look at JASMY. Let me bring that one up. I want to do a good mix of them for you here, where, you know, some of them are like new, some of them are older. We can look at PEAQ. I know a lot of people talk about PEAQ. And then we'll look at, you know, NATIX is having a really strong move. We'll just see what's going on with that. And what you want to look for, of course, is you want to look for, you know, smart money buying. You want to look at whales buying. That's the most important thing. I believe ROKO is a fairly, yeah, ROKO hasn't really moved much. It's been in a downtrend. I'm just looking here to see which ones are up, which ones are down. I mean, I'd like to look at them all for you, but I'm trying to, let's see. IOTX is another one that's 252 million market cap. I don't know what the market cap of ROKO is, but we can look at it. Looks like it's pretty far down the list. I'm not even sure how well it's doing. Okay, let's just limit it to those because I really don't want to make this video too long for you. But I think this will be extremely helpful in showing you how I do all of this so you can do it for yourself. Oh, Zig, I have to bring up Zig. That's definitely one I wanted to look at. So I'm going to search ZIGG. That's the wrong one. Zig chain. There it is. Okay. All right. So let's start with our first one that we brought up, which is sand. This is where we were talking about ones that really, you know, they're ahead of Bitcoin, but they really haven't made much of a move yet. Some of these, and sand is looking great here, building a very strong base. In fact, this is a multi-year base. You know, back in here in 2024, this was also support. So not only is your risk low, you're also seeing some people that are, you know, buying this at the same time. So let's see. Yeah, you're looking for this trend line to break out, basically. So, you know, it's going to coil up here and then it's going to break out, I believe is what's going to happen. But we can look more closely at the holders, which is the most important part. And we can see the top 100 holders are accumulating. This is over the last 30 days, by the way. Smart money, you've got multiple smart money wallets in here that are just holding. There's a couple of them that have been selling, but not within the last 30 days. They're just holding strong. So they bought very early, or they bought, you know, last year or something. Let's see what whales are doing. A slight uptick recently for whales. You know, they were buying back here on 21st of August. So, you know, they've been buying. Right now they're not buying, but, you know, they're already positioned down here at the bottom. Remember, the yellow line here, the gold line, is when they're accumulating tokens. You know, the tokens are coming off the exchange into their wallet. And then the gray line that you're seeing right there, that is price going up or down. And we can see the number of holders, how it's changed. It's remained flat there, no new holders. So as soon as you start getting some more holders, that's when the breakout happens. Okay, and actually I can look at these on, that's SEI, I'm gonna leave that there. But I can bring up sand, oops. I can show you on the buy sell. You know, I have a 7-day free trial of this engineering robo down in the description below if you want to try this out. But you'll see that it gives you buy and sell signals. You just check every day or two and you see if it has a buy or sell signal for you, and you either buy or you sell, and that's it. It's really easy. So if you're a busy person, this can really help you. But you can see here on the trading view chart how if we just use the candle bodies, you know, we're just waiting for this breakout right here. And it's kind of doing a triangle here, isn't it? Something like that. So it's just coiling up and then it takes off. That's how it works. I'm not really going to talk about targets. I mean, I'd like to be able to do that for you, but it would take way too long for me to do that. And also talk about, you know, what's going on with smart money and if things are being bought. All you really care about is accumulation, right? You want to see people buying your token, or you want to find tokens that haven't moved yet that you can make a profit on. So here's cake, way down, kind of the same situation as what we just saw with sand. And we're going to see this, you know, it's going to repeat over and over with a lot of these tokens that are way down here at support. They're just ready, you know, they're seeing a lot of accumulation. They're just waiting on the next move. In fact, I'm going to do something else for you here. I'm going to bring up the Nansen research agent. Here we go. So Nansen research agent, I'm going to type in here, is cake and sand in an accumulation phase. Okay, so I'm gonna let this thing work in the background. As soon as it's done, we'll bring that up. This is the Nansen research agent. It uses AI to determine these questions for us that we ask it, and it is only available to the professional users currently, but it is coming to the Pioneer users. So just be aware, you know, it is event right now. It's just kind of experimental, so we're testing it for Nansen. The professional users are. So just be aware it is coming for you know, the lower tier that costs less for Nansen. But you should get used to using Nansen because it will help you be prepared. And you're going to need a tool like this. You know, you have to have some kind of buy sell tool to where you don't round trip. Plus, it's a way for you to buy early. So the way it works for me is Nansen helps me to find tokens that are ready to move, or it helps me to find, you know, is smart money selling? Are they buying? Are they selling? That's all I care about. And that's my buy and sell signal on that end for on-chain data. Or you can use, you know, engineering robo here that I was just talking about that'll give you buy sell signals in general. All right, so let's keep moving. Cake support area. Here's long time support down here. It's just above that, so it's building higher lows. We want to see that. You know, you can see the triangle here if you look closely without me even drawing it. So same thing as sand was showing. We're just waiting for the breakout. And then if we look at our holders, just see what smart money's been doing. Of course, that's the last 24 hours. We'd like to look at the last 7 days. Okay, so we have some sell-off here happening. It wasn't a whole lot. Yeah, so it's kind of flat right now. There's not much smart money buying, but you did have some over the last 30 days. Like if we flip this to 30 days, you're going to see that there was some accumulation. It shows some there anyway for Smart HL, Perps Trader. There's a little bit there from the 180-day Smart Trader. Maybe I have to go down and back, you know, higher to 90 days. Let's see. It was showing there was some accumulation there, but I guess not. Maybe it was just talking about this little rise right there is where they were buying. But mostly they just been reducing their position over the last 90 days. But you have to look closer, you know, over the last 7 days. Are there any holders increasing? What is smart money? I mean, whales doing, because they matter as well. So the number of holders on whales has been going up and down for a while. But if you look at the balance for whales, as price came down, they were buying back here on September 13th. And again, it's not a huge amount they were buying, but they were accumulating as price dropped, and that's what you want to see. You'd really like to see more conviction here, but you haven't seen a breakout yet either. So they're waiting to see more strength in the token before they jump back in, which is smart. So here's, I may have to zoom in for you just so you can see this, but here's what Nansen had to say when we asked it, you know, is cake and sand in an accumulation phase? Let's see. So it looked at it here closely. It says cake's not in accumulation phase just yet. But sand, however, does have weak accumulation signals. So if I scroll all the way down to just kind of get the investment verdict right here, it says that cake is in a neutral to bearish phase with profit taking by successful traders. And we kind of just saw, you know, that, right? Some are accumulating, some are not, but, you know, there's still some sell-off happening. But there are some offsetting positive burn mechanics, it says. And then sand is getting mixed signals with individual accumulation, but institutional distribution is dominating. So, you know, like we said a second ago, we really need to see smart money start to accumulate again, even though there's some that are still holding, and then that's what pushes price up, right? So retail alone is not enough generally. You know, you have to see smart money jump in there to help you out. Okay, so here we're looking at World Liberty FI. Last 7 days, you know, there's a quick view here on the right that you can look at. The top P&L traders are, what is this, 150% more volume from them lately. Whales have bought a little bit more, 244K over 3 wallets over the last 7 days. And smart money is buying. So you're seeing some positive, you know, views here where if we put some lines down, this thing could be building up to a, you know, an ascending triangle where pressure just gets more and more and then it pumps out of there. And, you know, remember I was talking about, I don't know if it was, I think it was right here on the 11th of September or maybe right back here. There was a lot of FUD for this token. And I'm trying to remember because it could have even been back here on the 5th of September. But I posted on my X that there was a lot of FUD happening. I think it was CZ with Binance or somebody like that. That was at odds with the Trump family or whatever, which is just news. I mean, none of it really means anything, but I do think it might have been back here on this hammer candle. So it ended up being that this was the higher low and this was the place to enter. Some people already made a little bit of a profit here, but this thing hasn't made much of a move yet. You do want to see it hold this trend line. If it pushes above this one at 22.5 cents, then it's going much higher. And then if we look at our holders more closely over the last 7 days, let's see if there was any accumulation here. And I can do the same thing on the Nansen agent. You know, is World Liberty FI experiencing accumulation? And we'll let it work in the background. We'll look at it. I won't do that on every one of them, but we can look at it closely there. All right, whales are accumulating here as price pretty much goes sideways. Balance or supply owned didn't go up a whole lot because there are some selling at the same time back here. So it's kind of, you know, it's some buying, some selling, and that's generally what you're going to see if you just have sideways accumulation. So nothing really surprising there. But on Nansen, you can also look at the perps for this, you know, for you know, margin trading just to see what's going on. mostly I just want to show you what this looks like. You can see if, you know, traders are longing more or if traders are shorting. You're seeing it in real time here, what's going on. So, you know, it seems like the people shorting might have been ticking up. It was definitely ticking up here while longs were, you know, coming down. But now this is flattened out. Both of them has flattened out pretty much. And then if we look at the P&L leaderboard, it'll show you one more view. Well, on this one, it doesn't show it actually. Let me see if this top P&L traders, if I can click this and it'll work. I'll show it to you. Oh yeah, there it is right there. So there's your longs. Here's your smart money. Oh yeah, so public figures are long currently. Smart money is, there's more shorts on smart money than longs, and there's more shorts than there's more shorts than longs on smart money for perps or margin trading, and there's more shorts than longs for whales as well. So shorts are winning out currently just by a little bit. But I can switch back to spot. That's on hyperliquid, by the way. It kind of gives you that hyperliquid view for people that trade on there. Really interesting though. I like that it shows that. And then if we look at, yeah, the top P&L, that I don't think, maybe it does show the cards on this. I want to show you this view because it's pretty cool. Well, while it's doing that, let me show you this. Okay, so here's what it told us. I'm going to zoom in here. It's got critical exchange activity, tokens deposited to up at main wallet, holder structure concerns, extremely concentrated supply. You know, it's giving you a lot of information here that might be useful to you. So smart money flow last 7 days, there's no meaningful activity. It's kind of what we saw too. Institutional exit, major players depositing large amounts to exchanges. There's a lack of engagement from profitable traders for smart money. There's an absence from smart money, and there's been profit taking. So it's saying that the combination of massive exchange flows with zero smart money activity, which I think there was some smart money activity. It's just saying wait for clear accumulation signal. So it's kind of what we were talking about there as well. You know, there's no clear signal just yet. But we'll see. I don't know why this P&L leaderboard thing's not showing up. There it is. Okay. So check out these cards here. Of course, this is for spot trades. You know, spot is actually long. You know, the net inflows are really good for over the last, well, that's last 90 days. Let's look at 7 days. It might be different. That's about the same. So the top P&L, you know, the people that have made the most P&L on this token from its inception, they're still long, you know, they're still holding, and there's net inflows coming in from the bottom 50 traders, top 50 traders to top 100 traders. So that's still a good sign. You know, I think they're holding strong, expecting it to go up again. All right, let's jump over to TAO, which I'm having to look at the wrapped TAO version. You know, sometimes when these have a L1 or when they are an L1, you know, they don't have their own contract address. So there has to be a wrapped version that you can, you know, look at the on-chain data for. I think this may just be an anomaly on this wick all the way down. I don't know that actually happened, or it may have happened on just one exchange. Okay, so from this structure right here, there was a quick dip below the support, or maybe a double bottom there. That's looking pretty good. If we run this like that, and then we put one of those there, you know, this thing's squeezing down. So sometimes this is an opposite of an ascending triangle, as a descending triangle, and it could, you know, come down one more time to 200 and then pump. I'd really doubt that happens. You know, maybe 250 or something. I'm really not sure if that's going to happen or not. You know, I can't look into the future for you, but you know, that would be a 30% move if it was to happen. I'm just going by what the structure looks like. You know, sometimes they do break to the downside. But let's say that TAO is just ready to go, and we can actually look at that over the last 7 days to see. I mean, I would suspect that you're not going to see a whole lot of information here. We're actually looking at whales. They're selling a bunch of their position, so we don't really want to see that. Or if we see that and we see smart money accumulating, then that would kind of offset it. But currently, that's not a good look. You know, as price comes down, whales have been selling off. Supply has been coming off of their wallets, going on to exchanges. to sell, but you still got a lot of holders here that are going to hold the price up as long as they don't sell as well. But being that we haven't had that big alt move yet, and this is going to be a big token that people want to accumulate, and probably already are, you know, as far as the you know, the fresh wallets, the retail wallets, I'm sure they are already accumulating, but we're just not seeing that smart money or the whales pump the price just yet. And once that happens, then this one will get going. Yeah, fresh wallets are buying right there. They bought about 63K over the last 7 days. So, you know, nothing here right now, although the volume is up a little bit. And, you know, we are pumping just a little bit here today, not much. You just want to see it hold this 310-ish area. And if it does that, then it'll be ready to move up again. But not much going on right now, just kind of sideways. I do like the token, though. I mean, it's a good token for sure. Near, here's another one that's, you know, near support. Play on words. It is holding a long-term support, or what you would call, you know, this was a breakout at one point, and now it's holding that same line that was once resistance. So it's holding it pretty well. It's kind of a triangle formation, same thing. And we can look over here. What are we? Okay, 7 days, yeah. So fresh wallets have purchased 84K over the last 7 days. Whales have sold off a little bit, but it's only one wallet. Smart money is not involved currently. The top P&L traders have sold off some lately. So I'm not going to jump into these cards and look at them really closely on every one of these going forward, just to speed things up. But I just wanted you to know, you know, what the flow intelligence is saying right here. And what the flow intelligence is analysis of token flows across different labels. You know, Nansen labels these tokens, whether they're smart money, whether they're whales, based on specific criteria. So these multipliers show you how current activity compares to recent averages, and dollar amounts show net flows. So positive equals inflows, negative equals outflows. So you got a red number that's negative. These are kind of just even. You know, there's not a lot of activity here, so it's not really considering this much of an outflow here. Yeah, so near looks pretty good. I mean, this is a good place to accumulate if you're going to play this one, assuming the market's going to keep going up, which I believe it will. Q4 will be our top, I expect. But again, nothing's financial advice that I say on here. I'm just guessing based on prior cycles and hoping that it plays out that way. All right, Flock. This one's extremely popular right now. Let me see what it's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of negative. Yeah, there's still some sell pressure here. And I was trying to tell people that. I mean, you know, even though the volume is extremely good for it, starting back here, you're still getting decreasing volume while price is pumping, and you have a lower high. And there's a huge wick right here that got shoved right back down. Which this, I don't know. It could even be a fake wick, but this one looks real at least. So you're still getting some pressure pushing down. But, you know, it's going to hold again at some point, whether it comes down to 25 cents or 20 cents, you know, whatever that may be. You know, I think that this one's really going to make another move. You just have to be patient with it. Get that out of the way. So if we're looking over here, we're seeing a lot of negatives, you know, a lot of red numbers. Well, that's because price is pushing down and people are taking profits. So you've got smart money, you know, they've sold off 20 times what they purchased prior. And 11 wallets are involved, so that means that there's a lot of sell pressure from multiple players that originally bought a lot, you know, way back here. We can take a look at this much more closely, but, you know, a lot of them are also the top P&L traders, so you're going to see a lot of sell pressure there as well. You're not even getting, you're getting a little fresh wallet, you know, retail pressure back to the upside. You know, they're buying 1.72 million over the last 7 days, but if we look, you know, at the people that sell and buy the most, it's going to be smart money and whales, right? Let's just see what this chart shows us. Yeah, so it's mostly just been more and more selling. You know, more and more holders are completely selling their position, and they're going to buy back. You know, they're selling because they want profits, and then they're going to buy back again. So you're just waiting for this thing to uptick again. You know, this yellow line, if you're using Nansen, once this thing starts upticking again, that's going to tell you, okay, it looks like this may be the bottom. I'm going to jump in too, instead of doing what retail's doing and jumping in without any information. You're basically trading blind if you're not using Nansen. You really need this to be able to, you know, to find this information easily. It's presented in a way that you can easily digest it once you understand how it all works. So you got a token billionaire that is selling a little bit off here for the whales, but they've been accumulating this dip. You can see this thing trending up. So all you need is smart money to stop selling, and price will be ready to push up again. This is on base, by the way. All right, SAPIEN, brand new token launch that happened. When did this happen? August, late August. It's, it came all the way down. Oh, sorry, it was actually before that. Well, mid-August. So it came all the way down. This happens on launches all the time. So be aware of that. If you start to see higher lows form like this, especially if you get some kind of breakout like that. So, trend line where it had had a double top there, and then price kept pushing up, like we were talking about that ascending triangle, and then it finally broke out. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of tokens right now that are at support. They're eventually going to break out like this, I believe. And so now, you've got a big push above the previous all-time high. So you have to expect that there could be, some profit taking here. It hasn't really moved that much, just like a 2x or a 3x or something like that. But we can look over here and get some more information over the last 7 days. Smart money just barely selling anything. It's actually nothing even to write home about. Fresh wallets are buying. Yeah, I mean, top P&L traders are buying a little bit. There's not really much going on. There's not much volume. So I don't think it's a good time to be trading this one just yet. But, again, what you're watching for, just go over here to smart money. You can see they were accumulating on the 19th of August when it pumped, when it had its first launch. But if you look at what whales, yeah, they were accumulating actually as price was peaking. They were still accumulating all the way through, and they stopped their accumulation as that second pump started happening. So a lot of these whales are in profit right now. So they kind of played it the right way. I mean, when you see price spike like that, maybe it's time to stop accumulating, but they just kind of pushed through and kept buying. This one's on base as well. JASMY coin, this is one of our AI tokens, I believe. If we zoom out here on the chart, long downtrend. If you ever see something like this, and then you get a breakout out of it, that's usually a good sign. This is a pattern that happens a lot, where it's just looks like it's straight down, and then you're just waiting for that breakout. This line's not perfect, but once that breakout happens, then you feel better about the trend being over, for it being down, and then consolidation happens, and then the pump gets ready. And actually, I'm going to I'm going to type this on here for you for JASMY. We'll look and see what the Nansen research agent says on this one. I suspect it's going to be similar to what it said for sand and for cake. That there's not really much. There is no smart money activity right now over the last 24 hours. Let's see what the last 7 days shows, though. I mean, even though you're not seeing it, there could still be institutional money that's being poured in here with fresh wallets. So it's only 187K, but if it's a new wallet, they want to hide their activity, then that's the way they would do it with a fresh wallet. And the way you define that, Nansen has these little info cards everywhere that you can use. So net token flows from newly created wallets with first transfers within the last 15 days during the selected time period. So it's a brand new wallet. It's what it's telling you there. But this looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Well, does it actually? Yeah, it does. Okay, so there it is right there. You got a shoulder, a head, and it's forming the other shoulder right now. So I suspect this is going to follow, everything else. Once price gets moving, JASMY is going to start pumping to the upside as well. And there's not much to slow it down as it moves back up. So, you could get a really nice pump out of it just pretty much straight away. So pay attention to what I'm talking about here, because these are the tokens. You've seen me talk about it in the past where on X, I talk about a token in a video, and then all of a sudden, a month later or 2 weeks later, it has a pretty nice move. So this is the time to pay attention to what these charts are showing you, or what, the information over here is showing you, because this is, the way that you can make money in the future. But maybe this is a token that you're already looking at as well. All right, so let's just see. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, here we go. So we asked it, if JASMY is a good one to accumulate right now. And it says that there's zero activity from smart money. We know that. We just saw it. There's distribution pressure. We saw that as well. Individual whales are accumulating, what does it say, over the last 7 days. it says that the token millionaire activity is actually up. So there's limited accumulation currently, but it does say to avoid it. And the only reason it's saying to avoid it is because it's not seeing things pump just yet. It's not seeing a big movement out of smart money buying this token. So it's saying wait for clear smart money engagement, which is exactly what we were talking about just there. Before considering it, as an accumulation play. I actually a little bit disagree with that. I think right now is the time to accumulate, but Nansen's research agent doesn't look at the chart. It just looks at smart money and whale activity, institutional activity, which is good. That's, you want to see that other side of it, not just the chart. All right, so this one's on Ethereum. We've got PEAQ here. It has made a pretty good move already. It's at least 2x move. There's probably more upside to it, especially you're looking at volume increasing here. That's great. So robotics may actually be increasing in activity, like you're seeing on Twitter and X. There's a lot of people talking about robotics now. So it could be that you're early on this narrative. We're talking about it right now. Maybe you're early to it. Let's see, exchange. Yeah, exchanges has some tokens going on, being sent to it. So I'll just let you know what this says. It's net token flows to and from centralized and decentralized exchanges within the selected time period. So we're looking at 7-day. This means that tokens are moving on to the exchange. Usually that means that people are getting ready to sell. But mostly it's top P&L traders. Fresh wallets have increased dramatically, 2.5 times more than what you normally see over the last, average 7-day time frame. So it's up 147%. There could be some profit taking here, of course, because some people are seeing a 2x and they don't hold on too long. If we look at the smart money wallets, let's just see how many smart money wallets are involved. Oh, so there was only one. So yeah, this one just got in and out pretty quick, looks like, or maybe they were just wanting to move their money to something else. Oh, there it is right there. So they bought here and then they sold there. So just a really quick trade for them. I don't know why, but they decided that it was time for them to switch to something else, and that's fine. Another thing to consider is that BNB has been very bullish lately. And when BNB, when the native chain of the token that you're looking at is bullish, then that's the token that you want to be in. If you're seeing native activity, like on Ethereum, when it pumps again, all the Ethereum coins are going to do well usually, if they haven't already had a pump. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, so PEAQ, I don't know a lot about the project. I don't care about narratives. I mean, not narratives, sorry. I don't care about the fundamentals of a project. It just doesn't matter to me. I care about, is smart money buying or are whales buying? What does the chart look like? And that's it. Or what's the social activity on Twitter? Do people care about the token there as well? But remember, that can backfire on you too. And it's why you need Nansen or a buy-sell indicator on a chart, is because sometimes, like with CAS, say, for example, CASPA. I just want to bring this up. Yeah, here we go. So way back here in July of 2024, I don't know the exact date that I was looking at it, but it was probably, middle of July or something. I was telling CAS users or CAS buyers or holders that it might be a good time for them to consider taking profits. And of course, not financial advice again, because I could have been wrong, but it turned out to be right in this instance, and it was right near the top. I was telling them, don't listen to the social sentiment side of this stuff, because these tokens can create a cult where it's just a cult of bag holders. It's a cult of round trippers where they just pump everybody up. They're not looking at the chart and considering that this thing has done a huge, from the very bottom, has done a huge, 125x move. Nobody's considering that. And, it hasn't had a significant consolidation sideways for a while. Even back here, it did pause for a bit, for multiple months, but mostly it just kept pushing up. But then you had a lower high over here and definitely one here. And if you would have been looking at engineering robo, this helped me make this call as well. Maybe something like the 2-day chart. I like to look at the 2-day chart, but you're going to get some sell signals that were happening up here. And this is a true lower high right there. But, you know, sell signal, sell signal, sell signal, all happening during this distribution phase. If you look at Wyckoff, you would have seen that this follows a Wyckoff pattern. I was even telling people when this pump happened right here to be careful because it was pumping back into what was once support. And then that support got lost and now it's resistance and nobody wanted to listen. So anyway, I'm sure some listened, but you need to be aware of these principles in charting because it can really help you in the future to save money. Okay, we just got we got 3 more to go here and we'll shut it down for today. So this one's NATIX network. This is another AI. Oh, sorry, this is a robotics play. We were just talking about PEAQ. It's a robotics play as well. Let's see if we have, I mean, there's really just not much activity at all over the last 24 hours, but we're going to look at the last 7 days. And remember, this is one of those things we were just talking about with JASMY, where if you get these long extended downtrends and then you get a pump out of that downtrend, you know, out of this trend line right here, then this is a very good sign that this thing may start, you know, to move. There may be enough accumulation soon that it'll get it moving in the right direction. It had a nice pump in 2024. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought this thing was new. Okay. So it had a nice pump in 2024. It came down. You know, it held, what did it hold above? Yeah, it held that support. So it was a double bottom and then it pumped again. So it's trying to hold that same support. I mean, you do kind of have to be careful here just because this could be an automatic rally, you know, back into like 0009 or something, and then it comes back down. But it does seem there are some people buying here, but it's mostly fresh wallets. You can kind of see who's been buying down here. And you can actually take the candle inspector and see who bought that first candle right there. It'll show up down here. Yeah, so it's mostly fresh wallets. There's nothing that we can really take from this. If there was like a, you know, smart money wallet or a whale wallet here, it would make us feel better about it. But I don't even think smart money's involved in this one yet, are they? Let's just see if there's any smart money wallets down here. Maybe there's some that are holding. Okay, we got 4 holders and it's a large amount. It's just funds mostly. Borderless Capital, Moonrock Capital. So yeah, not a lot of activity just yet, but could be one in the future. That's on Solana. ROKO is another robotics play. You know, it's sitting here at support. It's one of these that we like where, you know, you're getting a good value because you're buying low. We always want to sell high. We want to buy low, sell for a premium, buy for a discount. That's what we're looking to do. But we're not seeing any activity just yet, I don't think. Let's see what 7 days shows. Top P&L traders buying a little bit. Fresh Wallet's buying a little bit. Yeah, just not a whole lot going on right now. Once it breaks above whatever this number is right here, it may get going. Maybe right there. I think it's 50192 or 40192. I'm curious who was buying back over here. Is there any smart money wallets buying that? There's a billionaire wallet. No, it's a high net worth wallet. Okay. Medium Dex trader. Yeah. So not a lot. I mean, we need money coming in. We need a lot of money flow, right, to push these. And we're just not seeing it. Like if you would have gone back and used this candle inspector back here and seen who was buying that pump out of that. Yeah, you got like heavy Dex traders, you got a high balance wallet, you know, a lot of money coming through, and especially on things like this, where it's seeing another breakout after an initial pump. Yeah, see, well, there was a 10K purchase there anyway. Not a whole lot of money. It didn't take much money to push this one, looks like. But anyway, on Ethereum, ROKO might be a robotics play to consider. And then for our final one, we'll look at Zigcoin. This one's been showing up a lot on my alerts in my Discord, so I wanted to mention it. Looks like, let's see, when was this pump? March 2024 into December. It did a double top there. So just consolidation right now. I mean, I don't really like where the chart is just yet. It probably needs more consolidation, but for sure there have been people buying. I've noticed there's been a lot of accumulation. Did not work. I must have clicked the wrong area. No, guess not. So that's strange. There was I don't know, maybe it's just not working. Maybe something's not working there. I found it strange that it's saying there's no buyers on these candles right here. A lot of sell pressure currently, last 24 hours, and then the last 7 days. We've got, you know, some volume increase for sure. Top P&L traders selling. It's coming off of the exchange, which is good. It's going to people's wallets. Fresh wallets are buying. Whales have sold just a little bit. The question is this a bear flag currently? Why is my line? There we go. Okay. Is this some kind of bear flag? Volume is coming down. Yeah, there's just not enough information here for me to say one way or the other. I think this support needs to hold. Maybe here. Yeah, so 0.866 needs to hold. If you lose that, then you're coming down to like 6 cents. Let me see what this fib retracement looks like. Okay, so it has hit the 618. That was at that 6 to 7 cents level. And there's an outside shot. It comes down to like 5 cents or something, but it doesn't have to. So for me personally, I wouldn't be accumulating it because volume's, you know, coming down and there's no sign of it pumping again just yet. You need volume, right? You've got to have positive volume, positive net flow to get these things moving. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful for you. I don't know if there's any little update I need to do here on Twitter or not. I was just going to look at it here real quick. So I did post that OPUL looks very similar to Bobo. This was Bobo back in 2024. And, you know, hopefully, of course, we need to get past this eclipse that's happening. What is it? I don't know if it's 21st, 22nd, what it is, but the rate cut as well. Maybe we'll get a pump at the beginning of October. We'll see. But, you know, if that happens, then I could see OPUL pumping out of here. I don't know if it's going to do a huge move like this, but I could see it at least coming up here to 35 cents, maybe even up to, you know, maybe it pumps a little bit higher into the 50-cent range or something before another correction. But first move could be like 12 to 13 cents, I would suspect, because there's an order block up here. And I mean, keep an eye on my Twitter because there's a lot of good information. But I show you here how you could have caught this HIFI pump and dump. I did a video here that you could watch. It's very useful for people that want to learn how to margin trade, and this would be used in Engineering Robo, the 7-day free trial in the description below, or for people that want to do spot trading. I'll also show how to do that. I talk about what's going to happen. You know, we already talked about it during this. What I'm expecting to happen anyway is this right here. We talked about it already about the rate cuts. SEI, I didn't actually look at it. I intended to look at it in this video, but you can see here I actually posted the chart and my thoughts on it, that when ETH moves again, this one should as well. So, you know, check that out. And I think that's pretty much the most important things that I talked about recently. Oh, I talked about what, you know, which one of these high caps might pump next. Could be Doge, could be Tron, could be Cardano. Yeah, because BNB, Solana, XRP, Ethereum have all seen pumps. Okay. Well, I hope this was informative for you. Hit the like, hit subscribe, share it with your friends. And we're going to do another one of these real soon. At the very least, we'll do one next week after the rate cut happens, and we'll see how everything transpired. But yeah, hopefully everything was useful for you in this video. That's all I want to do is try to provide you with information to help you make money in this, you know, the remainder of the bull cycle, which could stretch all the way from November to December here at the end of the year. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, y'all have a good week, and we'll talk again soon.